Hey, it's Roy Calvin back for episode 28 of You Don't Know Anything About Women. Got some long and complicated posts in our show today, so let's get right into the first one. A girl I had been talking to called me a pussy for turning down sex. There's not much more than is in the title. I've been taking things slow. We have known each other for about a couple months through work. I'm getting a new job in about a month and didn't want anything too involved until then, which I think is a reasonable request. This past weekend, she told me she was in the mood and asked me to come over, and I voiced that boundary again. We went back and forth, and she kept saying I was an overthinker and too cautious and not spontaneous enough. I told her I just wanted to wait, that it'd be the most healthy thing, and that I felt like she was calling me a pussy for saying no. She then just says, "What else do you want me to say, LOL?" I told her that I'm done with this relationship. She gave me a call and said it was a joke and apologized profusely and said she was just teasing. I told her I need about a week not speaking to get my mind together. I'm definitely ending things with her, but I don't know what else to do. We are literal co-workers and I wish I never began this. Can you imagine the HR shitstorm in case the genders were reversed? This post actually has a surprising amount of good advice if you scroll way down to the downvoted comments, or maybe not good advice, but actual reasonable comments from people, as opposed to the top voted things, which of course is common on Reddit. So I will read some of those good comments later on. But first of all, this whole I don't want to have sex because I'm starting a job in a month, I just don't understand. As savage as I can be, I actually do usually like to follow the advice of don't shit where you eat. And if you're going after a girl who you work with, yeah, it's kind of a rough situation. Because part of me is like, yes, you need to go after the girls you want. But then the other part of me is like, well, fuck, if this is kind of an important job to you and you don't want to fuck it up, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe you could find a girl somewhere else. But that's all out the window because you already went after this girl. So, I mean, who cares now? You're leaving there in a month. This is like the perfect time to do it. Because even if it does all somehow blow up in your face even more than it already has, I mean, what are they going to do? Fire you? So what? You miss out on a few weeks' pay. That sucks, but you got a new job lined up. What's the difference? You mentioned that you think it's a reasonable request to not want to have sex until you start this new job. I just don't understand the logic there. I don't understand what the difference is now as opposed to a month from now. Again, I get the work thing, but you're leaving anyway. This is an odd kind of rare situation, though, because the girl is just, according to you, saying that she's in the mood and wants you to come over, and you're just saying, no, I don't want to come bang you. Girls very rarely send messages like that, at least in my experience. Now, this might be a fucked up brain wiring on my behalf, but if a girl is messaging me, like telling me to come over and bang her, I'd kind of be like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like something that a normal girl would do who's not like out banging a guy at some club every week or something. I don't know. It's just a bit much for me to say, hey, come over here and bang me. I've gotten those kind of messages from girls that I've already done that with and we're seeing each other regularly. That I definitely understand more. But yeah, this girl that you haven't even had sex with is just like, hey, come over and bang me. Bit of an odd situation and a good situation for you. You should be taking advantage of this. I mean, a lot of guys would like this situation. Now let's clarify something here because you're actually putting words into her mouth. Your post is called "A Girl I Had Been Talking To Called Me a Pussy for Turning Down Sex." Now, in the post, you say that you told her you felt like she was calling you a pussy for saying no. And she says, "What else do you want me to say?" Okay, she didn't say that. Those were your words and she agreed with them. So it's a technicality, but she didn't just say, hey, you're a pussy for not fucking me, right? This just all screams self-sabotage to me. You told her that you need a week to think about things or whatever, but then you tell us that you're definitely ending things with her. Like, why? A girl who, I don't know, I assume is hot. I assume you like hanging out with her. You've been hanging out for a few months or whatever, or you've known each other. I assume you've been on a few dates. I'm not totally sure, but I assume. And this to you somehow means, oh, I need to end things right now. Like, what the hell, man? Do you know how many posts I go through on Reddit of guys that put in a lot of work dating and they get no fucking results? And now you just have this girl who's here willing to hang out with you, totally willing to have sex with you. You're like, I gotta end it. I'm going to get into some of those posts later, by the way, in this episode, if you need proof. But yeah, man, just come on. All right, I'm going to go down to some of the comments here that I somewhat agree with. Well, actually, let's read some of the top-rated comments that I don't agree with before we get into those other ones. So one here says, good for ending things if she was just after sex and you weren't. I don't know what part of this post says that the girl is only after sex. They've known each other for a few months and she's down to have sex right now. Does that mean that that's all she wants? There's another one that says, it's funny that when we turn them down for good reasons, they attack our masculinity and insult us. It's happened to me too. That or they just never talk to me again. Okay, again, she didn't really attack his masculinity. He said those words. He attacked himself and she agreed with it. So it is really a different thing. There's a nuance, but it's different. Let's get into some of the comments here that I actually agree with. One guy here mentioning, your reasons for not wanting to have sex are kind of vague and weird. You don't want to have sex because of a new job? Which, yeah, that's totally what I'm saying. You're here for validation and you're getting it, but like you are scared of sex for whatever reason, which is okay, but you should be honest with yourself about it. Yeah, I totally agree. There's something else going on here. I feel like I need to write a Bible of like dating commandments or when you should have sex with a girl or not. Like if a girl is attractive and you like her and she's willing, like there's no reason not to. Also worth mentioning here that the OP says that he hasn't had sex in like a year. And yeah, just again, makes this situation really odd. He's not jumping on this. Another one just simply says, just go fuck her, man. If you're starting a new job in a few weeks, there's no big deal. And then someone replies to him saying, guy's a pussy. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm laughing just how straight to the point and outlandish those comments are. Like, I'm not trying to laugh at you, OP. I'm here to try to give you help. But, like, yeah, you got to recognize this is a really strange situation where you like a girl who's willing to do it with you and you're just like, nah, I got to wait till my new job starts next month. So let's just touch back on the original post for a second. You said you're literal coworkers and you wish you never began this. So let that be a lesson for the future. Yeah, I mean, shitting where you eat is rough. So I don't know, man. You mentioned in the comments that you need trust before you can have sex. That's like, I don't know. That's something that someone in a teen drama would say. That's not what you should be saying as an adult. Someone mentioned in a comment that you're young, but I don't see your age here. But I mean, God, take advantage of the opportunities that are given to you. You're hanging out with this girl. She likes you. You like her. She wants to have sex. There's no reason that you shouldn't. Okay, let's go on to the next post for this episode where you will hear about somebody who wishes they were in your position. Okay. I'm 25 years old, doing everything right, but getting nothing in dating life. I am frustrated as hell. It feels like no matter what I do, nothing works when it comes to women and dating. I earn decent, I can live on my own, I go to the gym, I take care of myself, I eat clean, I have a car and a bike, I have freedom, I can go out anytime, do whatever I want, still nothing. And then I see guys who are complete trash getting everything so easily. One-night stands, hookups, situationships, girls chasing them, calling them, booking rooms, everything. Guys with red flags, guys who treat women badly, guys who don't even try. They get attention without asking. Meanwhile, I'm here doing everything right, working on my body, personality, career, mindset, trying to improve myself in every way possible, and still I get nothing. No matches, no replies, nothing. Dating apps are useless. I have put good photos, tried properly, still no response. On top of that, I even got scammed once and couldn't even tell anyone about it. I am an introvert, but I forced myself to change, to approach, to try different ways. Still didn't work. At this point, I feel like something is seriously wrong. I feel like I am not even a man anymore. And yes, I'm going to say it. It feels unfair. It genuinely feels like something is wrong only in my case. Other people don't even try and things happen for them. I am putting in effort and getting nothing. I want connection. I want attraction, attachment, sex, love, anything. Hookups, friend with benefits, relationship, whatever. Something. Right now, it feels like life is just empty in that area. And please don't give me generic advice about mindset, discipline, self-improvement. I have already consumed all that content. None of it worked for me. I am angry, frustrated, and tired of this. It feels like no matter what I do, I am stuck. All right, so you don't want anything about mindset, discipline, self-improvement because you've already consumed all that content and none of it worked for you. I kind of agree. I don't really give advice like that on this podcast. But I know that Reddit does often say, hey, you just got to work on yourself and then women will just fall into your lap. And I don't believe that at all. And it's not the way it is for me. Even now with all the dating success that I've had, I still have to work. If I just sit at home, nothing's going to happen for me. Or if I just walk around and don't talk to any women, nothing's going to happen for me. They're not going to come up and ask me to fuck them or whatever. And of course, I've read tons of posts on this podcast that are pretty much the same, saying that they earn decent, live on their own, go to the gym, take care of yourself, whatever, and still get nothing from women. I remember I was talking about this on a recent episode as well, of like, my life can be amazing, but a lot of girls won't even give you the chance to show that to them. So you need to like break through to them before any of that stuff matters. It's a lot about talking to girls, and it is somewhat a numbers game. So let me just address here, you say that you see guys who are complete trash getting everything so easily, one-night stands, hookups, situationships, and girls chasing them. and they're guys with red flags and they treat women badly and the guys don't even try. So that's complicated because I kind of see that sometimes too, or at least I thought that a lot more when I was younger before I get into this like fucking dating obsession and female obsession that I have now. But someone could look at me, or if I told them about what my dating life is like, because I don't think I outwardly show it, which is something I enjoy. I like kind of being stealth about it. I like walking into a room with a bunch of guys for whatever event or whatever, and I think to myself, I don't think anybody would guess that I'm the one in this room that's banged the most girls out of any guy here. So I'm just cautioning you to be careful thinking that guys get girls without doing anything. I mean, for me, it takes a lot of work. There's definitely some guys in the world, you know, maybe they're really fucking super attractive and just have some kind of job or social network that allows them to be around women a lot and they get a lot of attention from women. That's definitely not me. Guys can still be successful. It takes a lot of work. So you definitely can get to that point, or at least closer to that point, but it takes some work. Mentioned later on, you get no matches, no replies, or anything from dating apps, and that they're useless. So I know that grinds a lot of guys down, but definitely don't worry about that. That's like the average guy's experience on dating apps. It's my experience on dating apps when I've used them in the past. Well, my experience wasn't no matches, but I think you're being a little bit over dramatic by saying no matches unless you're shadow banned or something. But okay, here's the most important thing in the post. You say you're an introvert, but you force yourself to change, to approach, to try different ways, and it still didn't work. So the thing about forcing yourself to approach, I wonder exactly what you mean by that. I assume it means that you forced yourself to approach women, which is absolutely what you need to do. That's what worked for me. That's what got me so many dates. Cold approaching women is definitely something that can cut through all the bullshit of apps and everything, and girls just, you know, looking at one photo and deciding if they want to date you or not. Now, of course, same as on dating apps, I would say guys that are super attractive have a huge advantage with cold approach too, just like they do on the apps. But I'm definitely not a 9 out of 10, and I've still gotten plenty of success from cold approach on the street. So if you've tried approach, I'd like to know how many you did. Like, if you've approached 3 women and none of them spoke to you or whatever, none of them gave you their number or they didn't meet up with you, that's like nothing. I mean, I can go out in one day and approach 3 and get no results at all. And that doesn't mean that I'm not successful at it. It doesn't mean that girls don't like me. It means that those 3 don't like me. But yeah, you got to get your numbers way up in approaches if you want to start getting some dates. Now, I looked in the comments and I saw that this guy is from India, which is a place that I definitely don't have expertise in. But I saw that he lives in a city with like 3 million people. I mean, you can definitely find girls to approach. Go to some fucking shopping mall, or if you've got like an outside area there that's got a lot of foot traffic. I mean, it's India. I'm sure there's lots of foot traffic around. That's what you need to do. It really is that simple. Until you start putting a lot of work into approaches and getting those numbers up, there's not really anything else to do. It's good that you go to the gym and stuff, because I've said before on the podcast, going to the gym is like the minimum acceptable thing that you need to do. Like, going to the gym doesn't give you an advantage. It brings you to the minimum acceptable level. Like, everyone goes to the gym these days. You need to be doing that. So that's good that you have all your affairs in order like that. And once you approach some girls and you get them on dates and they see that you have a good, decent amount of money, that's probably going to make them stick around for longer and stuff. It all kind of snowballs. I felt pretty much the same thing as you before I started getting into approaching. There's some comments saying that maybe you're just really boring, but I don't think it's that case at all, because you haven't really even been on any dates. I mean, if you start going on like 10 dates and none of the girls want to have a second date with you, then yeah, then we can see if you're boring or whatever. But as of right now, like, we don't even have any proof of anything that we can draw from. So that's all I can say to you. Get out there and approach, and be careful about calling guys trash who you think get girls so easily, or they're guys with red flags or whatever. And also, you can get to that level where you're getting women as well. Okay, let's go on to our next post for this episode. How do you cope with the idea that they can meet someone else? I'm 29 and have been dating a 35-year-old. We unfortunately have had some relationship issues in the early stages of our time together, mainly because we both got out of quite toxic, abusive relationships last year and dragged our baggage with us. Things culminated in a massive argument a couple of weeks ago where we broke up, so to speak. She eventually reached out to me and we have begun to reconcile and talk about things. I've made it abundantly clear that I value her deeply and would like to draw a line in the sand and start again, taking things slow and right this time. It's clear to me that we were both upset about what happened, that we didn't want that outcome. I asked her yesterday face to face if we can start again, but exclusively as we were before. She didn't say yes or no, just that she wants us to move on and not keep talking about the past. Essentially, shut up waffling like an idiot and just have fun together. Then perhaps after I prove I'm capable of that, she will reconsider. Problem is, in the meantime, I get worried about her meeting someone new, someone better than me. How do you manage these anxieties while you are working towards exclusivity? Well, I got into the comments here, and him being 29 and her being 35 already gave me worries. But then in the comments, he says that he enjoys spending time with her kids. Okay, so this woman has kids. I mean, some guys are okay with that. I wouldn't be I wouldn't be okay with dating a girl who's 6 years older than me, but especially one that has kids. I won't get too deep into that or criticize your choice in that respect, but I hope that you've thought long and hard about if this is a situation that you would actually like to be in, whether it's this woman or any other woman, someone who's 6 years older than you and has kids. I caution you to really think about that. But okay, let's forget about that. I'll get into what you're actually asking about. He says in the comments that some people are telling him to ditch her and move on, but he really likes the girl. But that might be good advice, man. Let's just think about this. I looked through and tried to see how new this relationship is, but I couldn't find any specifics. But okay, you've said you've had some relationship issues in the early stages of your time together. I do bring up somewhat frequently on this podcast that it seems like people are just willing to ditch each other like way too quickly. Specifically guys I'm talking to, of course, on this podcast. But I see some guys who, just think that they should stop seeing a girl because of a very minor reason. So I just say that to give you some background that I'm definitely not the type of person to just say, yeah, whatever, move on from this girl. But dude, if you're already having these shit arguments in a brand new fucking relationship, what do you think it's going to be like a year or two from now? I mean, some things are absolutely not to be put up with, and this kind of seems like one of them. Like, do you really think you're going to be happy in a year with a girl who just fucking argues with you all the time? Now, this part where you say you want to start exclusively like you were before and she didn't say yes or no, wants you to move on without talking about the past and telling you to shut up and just have fun together. And then perhaps after you prove you're capable, she'll reconsider. So I don't know. That's kind of convoluted there, whether that's like your words or her words or your summary of what she said to you. But I mean, outside of extreme cases, I don't think it's ever good to be in a situation where you're like needing to prove yourself to the girl. And based on the few details I have in this post, it seems like you both kind of fucked up, but I don't know, you're the one writing it, so maybe it's biased in your favor, and you're the one who fucked up more. But again, this is like too new. It's worth it if you're with a girl for a few years to try to save things, maybe, everything is dependent on the situation. But just the fact that I assume you're new to this relationship, it doesn't seem very good. About you meeting her kids and stuff too. I mean, I don't know. I'd kind of question her character if she's introducing them within like a fucking few months of dating you. But again, I don't know what a new relationship means to you. Early stages of your time together. Is that a couple of months or is that a couple of years? I don't know. But of course, the big, huge issue here is that you are very anxious and very scared of losing her. Which, okay, I mean, we've kind of all dealt with stuff like that when you're pursuing a girl and for one reason or another, you're afraid she's going to find someone new. I had a friend of mine recently who was talking to a new girl that he met from Street Approach. And this is a guy, I mean, like, he's on my level of like mindset and abundance of women throughout his life. And he meets this girl who is like exceptionally hot, especially for him being a bit older. I think he's like 20 years older than her. And she's like going to a bar after work and he's saying to me like, oh my God, I'm afraid like she's going to meet somebody new there. And it's like, man, just relax. This is not who you are. I know who you are. You can deal with this situation. So all that to say that, yeah, even the best of us, it can get to us sometimes, that anxiety of not wanting your girl to find somebody else. But I mean, that's always a possibility. Even if you just agreed to exclusivity or whatever, which I'll get into in a second, it doesn't mean that she's not going to go and find somebody new anyway. Like, there's always the chance of like your girlfriend or your wife going and cheating on you, right? You just need to accept that possibility. And if it happens, deal with it appropriately. So yeah, the exclusive conversation, don't do that again. That's a desperate thing, even if it was the first time you're having this conversation. I always tell people, do not ask girls, like, hey, can we be exclusive now? No, there's no need to ever do that. If she brings it up, that's a different thing. But yeah, do not ask that again, especially since you brought it up this one time and she didn't give a real answer and told you to like chill out and let's just have fun. Bringing it up again will make you seem even more desperate and even more anxious. Also, this may be okay all the time. Again, don't have the exclusivity conversation ever, but because it's been brought up now and you're in this position where she didn't give you a yes or no on that conversation, you're free to date other people as well. So that's a good idea too. If she does meet someone else, well, hopefully you're dating someone else at the same time. And if she leaves you or this blows up again, which is probably going to happen based on the background you've given me, it's probably going to blow up again. You can have someone else who you're also dating, so you're not left with no female attention in your life just because this relationship, which is already rocky, comes to an end again. So I understand it's easier said than done sometimes, but you just got to chill out and accept that, yeah, she could meet someone new. That's just the way it is. All right, let's get into post number 4 for this episode. Girlfriend expects me to cover all expenses and princess treatment, but shows very little reciprocity after 3 months. Am I overreacting? From early on, I've been the one paying for all our dates, bringing her flowers almost weekly, buying gifts, and even took her and one of her kids out to dinner. I did her a favor back in January and asked for a simple popsicle in return. She still hasn't followed through. When I mentioned it calmly, she offered to get me 10, so I, quote, stopped whining, and said I was making a big deal out of nothing. She has told me that a boyfriend is supposed to pay for her nails, hair, car wash, brows, facials, and ongoing gifts. When I started pulling back a bit on extra gifts and spending, she said I'm acting like most men who start strong and then change. Recently, I had some significant unexpected financial losses. We have her birthday tomorrow and I planned a weekend trip. I wanted to scale it back or cancel, but decided to go ahead with it. I'm feeling pretty drained because she calls me every morning to vent about her stressful job and offloads a lot onto me. When I try to talk about the imbalance or my own needs, she gets defensive. She said she doesn't have to answer when I asked about my love language because those things should just come from the heart. Examples of small things falling through. At a food truck, I paid for a dessert I wanted while she didn't offer to contribute. She was telling me all week she would get it for me. And she ordered a cheesecake she knew I'd love to bring home for me, and then ate the whole thing with her son without replacing it or getting me anything similar. When we're together, we usually have a good time and she says, I love you often and calls frequently. But when apart, she tends to get in bad moods and I feel like I'm mostly the provider and emotional support with little coming back the other way. After the trip, I want to have an honest conversation about needing more balance and reciprocity. I'm worried she'll get defensive again. Am I being unreasonable for wanting some mutual effort and thoughtfulness? Or is this kind of one-sided dynamic common with the treatment expectations people see online? Man, what can I even say here? Judging by some of your comments on your post, it seems like other responses may have opened your eyes, which is a good thing. But like, man, this is a long post and I don't even need to say very much about it. All this stuff, all this paying for her, I would be so against this in like a normal situation. I usually even tell guys to split the first date. Like if you're going out to eat or whatever, I don't even recommend paying for that. But to everyone listening, I'm sure you caught in there that the woman has a child. In the comments, he says that she has 2 kids from 2 different men, and yet she still expects this treatment. So let's just pretend that I live in a world where I think that men should be simping out on women like this when they're single and don't have any kids. And let's just say they're fucking super hot and she treats the guy really well. Even in that world, that all gets negated when she has just 1 child. Like, she can go pursue that from the father of the children. I cannot imagine dating a girl who says, as you've written in your post, that the boyfriend is supposed to pay for her nails, hair, car wash, brows, facial, and ongoing gifts. Like, all of her value has disappeared when she has 2 kids. I'll tell you where she has a point, though. It's where she says that you're acting like most men who start strong and then change. I believe her that most men do that. I'm a huge advocate of starting the tone from the beginning. I guess that even applies to things like gifting, but I just mean things as simple as like text messaging frequency. Like, I set the tone from the beginning that I'm not going to be fucking messaging you every hour of every day. That's just not how I operate. Because some guys will do that, and then as time goes on, they start messaging less and less, and then maybe the guy says, oh my god, she doesn't like me because she's not texting me as much anymore. What's going on? Or he'll say, and this is all from like posts that I've read on Reddit, they'll say, oh, I'm so annoyed that I have to keep up this text messaging right now. What's the normal amount of text messaging when you've been with a girl for X amount of months? The truth is that with things like gifts, if anything, if you ever start giving a girl gifts that aren't reciprocated, gifts should pretty much always be reciprocated. But in any case, the truth is that they should be something that you grow into as you continue hanging out with each other, not starting off with giant gifts to keep the girl around. You're setting a really bad precedent for yourself, and I could totally see where the girl comes from with that. Like, oh, he gave me a lot of gifts in the beginning, and why is he not doing that anymore? He made it seem like that's something that's just normal for him. Does he not like me now? What's going on? Should I leave him because he doesn't seem to appreciate me anymore? You've got to grow a spine, man. Like, if I read a post like this and it was with a girl that had no kids, I would still think that it's wrong, but I would assume that she's single and fucking amazingly hot to even think about putting up with this. Grow a spine, man. I'm giving you tough love because I want to help you. I don't want you to be in this situation again, and I don't want it to continue right now. I might have a bit of information wrong about the order of events and how this happened, because you do mention in a comment that it didn't start out with you blatantly paying for everything, but you started with dates and then flowers, and you saw she goes to the spa, so you'll pay for that. And again, back to the advice that I just tell most guys, like, split your dates from the beginning. Like, this is how it snowballed. Like, okay, I'll just pay for the date, and flowers, spa. Set that tone from the beginning. There's exceptions to every rule, but just this is a rule of thumb. Get them to split the dates. He says that she sends him reels on Instagram of like stating requirements that boyfriends are expected to follow when they have a girlfriend. The popsicle thing is a bit hilarious. I hope that you realize that reading back and just thinking about everything that's gone on. She said a few months ago that she'd buy you a popsicle in return, and she still hasn't followed through, and you bring it up sometimes. But I understand, just it's like a token of her appreciation. The fact that you want a fucking, I don't know, 50 cent or dollar, whatever they cost these days, popsicle in return, and you're still asking for it months later. You could have let the popsicle go and just brought up something else for her to reciprocate, but it doesn't really matter. It doesn't seem like the type of woman that's going to be doing that for you anytime soon. She's selfish, she's a leech, she's unappreciative, and I don't really blame her because you're willingly doing all of this stuff. So there's no need for me to harp on the rest of the post, but I will just get right into the questions that you ask at the very end very quickly. Am I being unreasonable for wanting some mutual effort and thoughtfulness? No, you're not, but that ship has sailed. And you ask, or is this kind of one-sided dynamic common with the treatment expectations people see online? No, it's not, so please stop doing it. The guys that give in to some of these crazy demands that women give are making it worse for everybody else. And I'm not asking you to be a fucking philanthropist of the dating community. You can do what's best for you, that's fine. But I'm telling you, this will not get you where you want to go in dating, and I think you've realized that. Okay, let's move on to one more post for this episode. Why do people waste their own time with someone if they're not going to see them anyway? So I matched with this girl on Bumble a while ago. We were texting pretty consistently, not all day every day, but enough to build a bit of a rapport. The conversations felt really nice, bantery, and she seemed genuinely interested. The only issue was that I couldn't meet up straight away because I was traveling interstate. We eventually moved off the app to Instagram and made plans to meet when I was home. She initially suggested Saturday or Sunday, and we settled on 5 p.m. Saturday. The day before, she asked if we could push it an hour later because she had a call to make. I couldn't make that work since I was visiting my dad later that night, so I suggested Sunday instead. She said she was working, but didn't offer another time. After that last message, I never heard from her again. I kept things light at first and sent a message to try and reset things, suggesting we catch up early the following week. I was heading out of town on Wednesday. She read it and didn't respond. I left it for a while, and once I returned after a week, I sent one final text which said, "Hey, I just wanted to check in once more. I really enjoyed chatting with you and genuinely would have liked to meet up, but I'm guessing the timing or interest just wasn't there. No hard feelings either way. Best of luck out there and take care." No response to that either. I get that no one owes anyone anything, but I don't really understand why someone would spend 4 weeks building something with another person, move off the app, keep chatting, joking, and engaging, and then just disappear the moment it comes time to actually meet. Is this really how dating is now? Why do you think people do it? And am I just missing something about how people approach this stage? Well, I'm going to give you some advice that I think a lot of like dating coaches or whatever you want to call them would disagree with, but it's something that over the years has brought me success, and I think it's like absolutely necessary to have success with women. And it's really, really, really simple. It's just that you have to make the date fucking happen. So let's go through this here. You settled at 5 p.m. on Saturday, and then on the Friday beforehand, she asked to push it an hour later because she had a call to make. The fact that you did not accept that is when this all ended. So I know there's some dating coaches out there that would be like, no, you got to show that your time is valuable. Let her know that you're busy and that you can't change your schedule on such short notice. I say fucking bullshit to all of that. It's not about bending over backwards, but it's about being reasonable. Now, I'm not saying that you didn't want to change your schedule just because you wanted to seem cool and like you have a packed schedule and very little time to spare. You say that you couldn't make it work because you were visiting your dad later that night. So you did have a reason, but still, man, I don't know. This is visiting your dad. What was the situation where you couldn't push it an hour later with him? That I just don't understand. And, like the dynamics between men and women are different. But if I wanted to message a girl and say, hey, can we meet an hour later tomorrow? I would be taken aback if she said no, because it's like, what the fuck? It's just like 1 hour. And for me, I expect the girl to hang out with me all night anyway. So I would never want her to have plans after our date. I don't want her to feel rushed. I want her to be prepared to come over to my place and stay late at night. I'm not saying that this girl necessarily is saying that. She's probably less savage than me. At least I hope she is. But yeah, dude, for sake of 1 hour, you lost the date. I don't know anything about your dad, but like, let's assume that he's like strict or you had something very time sensitive for some reason. You would think that a dad, if his son came to him and said, Dad, I've got a date with a girl that night, so is it okay if we meet an hour later? You would assume that any good father would say yes, right? Back to what I just said, though, you should kind of clear your schedule for a date and not have anything going on after it. But okay, maybe you already had this meeting with your dad and this is where you could squeeze it in. All right, I get it in some situations. But man, I hope your dad would have your back and say, yes, son, we can meet 1 hour later. Don't worry about it. So the title of your post is, why do people waste their own time with someone if they're not going to see them anyway? That's not what happened here, man. This girl was gonna see you. And because of just 1 hour, you let it slip through your fingers. Anyway, after all that dad stuff, you suggested Sunday and she said she was working and didn't offer another time. Yeah, man, it just fades away, especially with a girl that you've never met before. It really does get to a point where it's like, this is not worth any more effort. I tried to meet the guy and he didn't want to. I'm gonna move on. And I'll reiterate again from your post. You said, I get that no one owes anyone anything, but I don't really understand why someone would spend 4 weeks building something with another person, move off the app, keep chatting, joking, and engaging, and then just disappear the moment it comes time to actually meet. That's not what happened, man. 1 hour is nothing. It might be a bit different if she suggested a few days later, if she said, I can't meet Saturday, can we meet on Tuesday night instead? That might make a bit more sense, but 1 hour. And let me reread your final text message here as well. So you had sent her one saying, after she said that she was working, after she didn't offer another time, I assume it was a few days later. It seems like that anyway. You suggested meeting up the following week. She didn't respond. Then you waited 1 more week and you said, I just wanted to check in once more. I really enjoyed chatting with you and genuinely would have liked to meet up, but I'm guessing the timing or interest just wasn't there. No hard feelings either way. Best of luck out there and take care. And then you say no response to that either. What response is she going to give you? This is another thing. Like, I don't know if you've fucking been seeking dating advice or something. Like, this is like what outdated dating advice from like 10 years ago would tell you to say, in my opinion. Just kind of like giving them an ultimatum. Not really, but it's like, I'm walking away right now. And then expecting the girl will like chase you and say, no, come back. I really want you. That's just not going to happen. At least in my experience with dating, that is not how it goes. You can't end a text message with best of luck out there and take care. And then, you say, these are your words, no response to that either. So it's like you were expecting a response. You were expecting her to be like, oh, wait a second. Actually, yes, let's meet up. Like, no, man, that was a bad text message, honestly. There's no call to action in there. You start off with, I just wanted to check in once more, but then you say, best of luck out there and take care. So it's not really a checking in. I mean, the first time you tried to reset things, that seems pretty good. You kept it light at first and then you asked her out again. Like, that's what you should have done. Just keep it light. Don't show her that you're super emotionally invested in this and just give her a chance to come back into the conversation. So this is not a case of like self-sabotage or anything like that. And you didn't make like a huge mistake. It's just that little 1 hour. Again, for the sake of 1 hour, you let the date go. So in the future, if you really want to meet that girl and she's giving you a time to meet, you got to make it work. Now, is it a bit hypocritical because, you gave her the time and then she tried to change it? Yes, I understand that, but I'm just telling you what I've had from my success in dating. You got to make that date happen. And just in case it wasn't clear, like, don't tell her, oh, I'm meeting my dad and okay, I'll push it an hour later with him so I can meet you. No, don't say that. Just when she says, hey, can we meet an hour later because I have this going on? You say, yep, that's no problem at all. All right, I'll see you at 6 p.m. instead of 5 p.m. Okay, that's it for this episode. If you don't know anything about women, make sure you check out the link in the show notes if you want to get in touch or support the show, and I will see you on the next one.